اهلا وسهلا بكم في الويبينار النهارده. معاكم محمد عادل من سيمبيوس. ويعني خلونا كده هننتظر يعني from 4 to 5 minutes لغايه ما بقيه الشباب يدخلوا معانا، وبعد كده ان شاء الله هنبدا الويبينار بتاعنا مع مستر محمد متولي على طول باذن الله. فمعانا 5 minutes ان شاء الله لغايه ما بقيه الناس تدخل معانا.
Excellent.
اهلا بيك يا مستر محمد، اخبارك ايه؟
ازيك؟ ايه الاخبار؟
كله بخير، منورني. اهلا بيك.
وجودك.
اهلا. طيب علشان الوقت خلونا نبدأ في الويبينار. واحنا في الحقيقة احنا سعداء بوجود مستر محمد معانا النهارده، واحنا محظوظين ان دي مش اول مرة. مستر محمد is a key speaker بالنسبة لنا في مجال الاستراتيجي والبزنس ترانسفورميشن. مستر محمد he has more than 15 years of experience في المجال ده، وفي قطاعات في الحقيقة كلها قطاعات استراتيجيك زي الريل استيت، مانوفاكتشرنج، ميديكال، كونستراكشن. فهو عنده ما شاء الله وايد اكسبيرينس في الجزء الخاص بالاستراتيجي وبالبزنس ترانسفورميشن، واحنا كنا سعداء بوجوده معانا في ويبينار سابق، وان هو يكون موجود معانا النهارده، وان شاء الله يكون في ويبينارز جايه كمان. طبعا التوبيك بتاع الاستراتيجي والاستراتيجي فورميليشن او هاو تو ديزاين استراتيجي ده من التوبكس يعني اغلبنا او كلنا بنبقى دايما انترستد ان احنا نعرف يعني ايه كلمه ديزاين استراتيجي، يعني ايه ديزاين فورميليشن. طيب هو ايه الفرق ما بين الاستراتيجي ان انا اقول دي استراتيجي قويه واستراتيجي ضعيفه؟ طب هل الاستراتيجي هي الاستراتيجيك بلاننج، ولا استراتيجي حاجه واستراتيجيك بلاننج حاجه؟ بنلاقي في مفاهيم كتير ممكن تكون غير دقيقه او غير صحيحه عند بعض الناس، بيبقوا محتاجين ان هم يفهموها. طب النهارده هو اي حد ممكن يعمل استراتيجي، ولا لازم يكون اوير ببعض التولز والفريم وركس والميثودولوجيز اللي تساعده ان هو يديزاين الاستراتيجي المناسبه؟ طيب احنا بنحكم ازاي على الاستراتيجي دي ان كانت صح ولا غلط؟ وبعدين هل الاستراتيجي هي مجرد ان انا يبقى عندي فيجن وميشن وكور فاليوز؟ هل هي دي الاستراتيجي؟ هو ده المفهوم، ولا الموضوع اكبر من كده وليه ابعاد مختلفه؟ كتير من الناس دايما بتبقى عايزه تعرف انا النهارده عشان اديزاين استراتيجي او افورميليت استراتيجي، ايه الفاكتورز اللي انا محتاج ابص عليها؟ هل انا محتاج ابص انترنالي جوه الشركه بس، ولا انا محتاج ابص اكسترنالي على الانفايرمنت وعلى الماكرو ليفل، ولا انا محتاج ابص انترنالي اند اكسترنالي؟ طب ايه التولز اللي ممكن تساعدني في الانترنال اناليسيز؟ ايه التولز اللي ممكن تساعدني في الاكسترنال اناليسيز؟ دي كلها بتكون تساؤلات عند كتير مننا. وبالنسبه للناس اللي بتبقى شغاله في الاوبريشنز، بتبقى دايما مستنيه انها تشوف استراتيجي علشان تبني عليها اوبريتنج موديل، تبني عليها سبلاي تشين نتورك ديزاين. فبتبقى عايزه تفهم هي هتلينك ما بين الاوبريشنال استراتيجيز والسبلاي تشين استراتيجيز مع الكوربريت استراتيجي ازاي، والاستراتيجي كاسكيدنج. دي كلها بتكون في تساؤلات. يعني ان شاء الله النهارده مستر محمد هيدينا اوفر فيو كامل عن النقط دي. طبعا احنا معناش متسع كبير من الوقت، احنا يعني معانا ساعه النهارده، ولكن على الاقل الكي بوينتس ان شاء الله مستر محمد هيوضحها لينا. وطبعا لو في اي اسئله هتكون معانا الاسئله اخر جزء في الويبينار. ولو عندكم اي برضو توبكس حابين ان احنا نتكلم عنها في الاخر خالص، برضو ممكن تطلبوها مننا بان انتوا تكتبوا التوبكس ونرتب لها تاني ان شاء الله. اهلا وسهلا بحضرتك مستر محمد، وسعداء بوجودك
بيك.
معانا. اهلا بحضرتك.
اهلا
تمام.
بيك.
طيب احنا جاهزين نبدا. اتفضل
right.
حضرتك.
انت عملت انتروداكشن ممتاز بصراحه، غطيت تقريبا كل حاجه انا عاوز اغطيها النهارده يعني. انا
الحمد لله.
الويبينار ده هتبقى mostly English و I'm gonna support myself شويه بالعربي. تمام. So the whole purpose of this webinar is انا مش عاوز اخش depth في اي حاجه، انا عاوز ادي الهوليستيك picture strategic management will business transformation, which is really, really important. They work together. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here is give an holistic view. I want it to be extremely simple, broken down to the lowest level, علشان to simplify it for everybody to grasp it. تمام. So ده هدفي النهارده. If you want to talk about any topic later on in details, أهلا وسهلا. We could start another webinar and go into everything into details. All right?
Exactly. مظبوط.
All right, so we're going to start now. So this is pretty much the agenda. I'll be talking about a little bit about myself. بس بصراحة محمد عادل did an awesome introduction. أحسن من اللي ممكن أعمله. هنتكلم شوية عن definitions بتاع strategies, external analysis, internal analysis, وازاي to combine the internal analysis and the external analysis to form a SWOT analysis. Then the ANSOS matrix. بعد كده هنشوف ازاي بنقدر نحدد the strategic goals, smart objectives, how to cascade the strategy, and what are the components for a successful strategy. Okay. If anybody has any questions, you could ask in the chat, or we could wait till the end of the webinar and you can ask me anything you want. Tamam? Okay, so first things first, nice to meet Mohammed Mitwalli. I'm an executive director, business transformation strategy and business transformation. I'm a consultant, and I also work in real estate. Tamam? My background is mechanical engineering, MBA. I'm PMP certified, Lean Six Sigma Black Belt certified, KPI professional certified, Balanced Scorecard professional. Anything related to strategy, I'm certified. All right, and digital transformation certified. My experience, I have experience in North America, United States, and Canada. I have some experience in Europe, Middle East, Dubai, السعودية ومصر. الفيلدز اشتغلت فيها اللي هي sectors real estate, manufacturing, medical, and construction. The reason why I put this is to clarify that, if you're going to enter into the field of strategy and strategic management, you need to understand that the sector makes no difference for you. It's strategy in any sector that you work in. Tamam? I just wanted to clarify that out because a lot of people, they put themselves in a spot where they can't move. You need to understand, hey, I'm the project management. You could be a project manager in any sector. Okay, so the first thing I want to clarify, عشان في ناس كتير يقول لك ايه استراتيجية what's a strategy is a plan. A strategy is not a plan. Okay? A strategy defines a long-term direction. اتجاه long-term بتاعت الشركة. What you aim to achieve, focusing on a vision, positioning, and outcomes. So كلمة outcomes is a key word when it comes to strategy. Okay, so what do is you assess your company, you do the external internal analysis, you assess within your company your customers, your capacity, your growth, your finance, and then you formulate your strategy to develop goals. And goals are measured with outcomes, not results. Okay, where on the other hand, if you have a plan is a group of activities that we do to achieve these goals. All right. So every activity has a result. انت ممكن تحقق كل results for every activity, and then the outcome is not what you want. So I just want to distinguish between the results and outcome, strategy and plan. Okay. All right. So I made this little sketch here because like pictures are 1,000 words. So just imagine you're that little purple guy there. You want to hike this huge mountain. عايزين نطلع جبل كبير ده. خلاص؟ قبل ما تطلع الجبل ده, the first thing you need to assess is where you're going to go. You need to see it, right? You need to have a vision, bottom line. So when you do your vision for your company, you need to think with this logic. You need to see where you're going. Like, you need to imagine it. Okay, so let's say, for example, Microsoft, their vision was a computer on every desk. All right, and this is in the 70s. Again, in the 70s, imagine in the 70s where computers were عبارة عن مبنى كده كبير و punch cards والكلام ده. ده الراجل ده قاعد, he's like, I want a computer in every desk. Okay, so he saw that, he visualized it, sorry. Okay, and then you need to identify who you are, your mission. أنت كشركة, what do you do, basically? Okay, what is your purpose? How are you going to reach this vision? Okay. But before you do that, قبل ما تاخد خطوة على الجبل ده, before you take one step, okay, you need to assess your external environment. Okay, for example, the weather, your competition, the height of the mountain. External environment means things that you have no control of at all. Things that could happen that you cannot control. At the same time, you need to look at your internal environment. You need to assess your internal environment. Do you have the right gear to hike this mountain? Do you have the right shoes, the right snow gear, everything, snowshoes and so on? So you need to assess yourself first. هل أنا ممكن with what I have right now أوصل للفيجن ده ولا لا? Okay. Then once you analyze yourself, you start to formulate your strategy. You set some goals for yourself. What I need to do to reach my vision. You're going to put 1, 2, 3 goals. These goals are going to be broken down into objectives. And these objectives are going to be completed to meet your goals. Okay? And then you need to measure yourself all the way. يعني أنت حطيت هدف and you're going to reach the top of the mountain in 1 week. But fast forward 2 weeks, you have no idea where you are. You're going to get lost. So it's really, really important as you move through your journey, your strategic journey, you need to be able to measure yourself, performance management. Okay? And before you do anything, you need to understand what are the lines I cannot cross to reach my destinations. ايه الحاجات اللي انا ما اقدرش اعملها، مبادئ ما تخلينيش اعملها علشان اوصل الجولز بتاعتي. Okay? So these are your values. مبادئ. Clear? So like I said, I'm trying to simplify everything, make it to the lowest level so that we could really, really visualize the whole thing. Okay? So let's dig a little bit deeper. Okay, so when we talk about external analysis, طبعا في كذا tools to use. في Pastel for macro environment, وفي Porter's 5 forces for industrial scanning. تمام? So I'm going to focus today on just the industrial scanning, the Porter's 5 forces. We're going to look at the 5 forces that we need to consider in every business every year. In Annika Real Estate, every year I look at this. Every year we assess this. Okay? So the first thing we're going to look at is your bargaining power of the supplier. What does this mean? يعني bargaining power of supplier. يعني supplier is going to هيفاصل معانا يعني؟ أكيد لا. A bargaining power of the supplier is according to your business. How powerful is the supplier? أديك مثل. أنت دلوقتي عندك مصنع كراسي حديد. هتجيب الحديد منين؟ من مصنع ستيل. هتروح تقول له مثلا أنا عاوز 200 كيلو حديد. هيقول لك لا طبعا. انا اقل حاجه بطلعها 3 طن. اوكي؟ فهو اللي بيحدد السايكل بتاعت المانيفاكتشرنج بتاعك. فالباير باور قصدي السبلاير باور bargain is very powerful in this case. Okay? But if you look at مثلا شركات ثانيه زي let's talk about real estate. Real estate انا لما I start developing a project or start working on a project في 50 construction company they're coming or give me offers or bidding والكلام ده كله. Okay, that means the supplier power is much lower. Okay, it's something you have to consider all the time. The other thing is we look at is the bargaining power of the buyer. أنت كbuyer, how much power do you have over my business? Okay, so if لو أنا المصنع الكراسي and I'm buying from the steel factory, I don't have much power. ما اقدرش اقول لك ما اقدرش احدد السعر بتاع ستيل ولا اقدر احدد الكوانتيتي. انت اللي بتحدد كل حاجه. فانا كباير باور is very weak. But let's say I'm Netflix. What is your buyer power there? انا نتفليكس انت عندك شاهد، عندك OSN، عندك مش عارف ايه، الحاجات دي كلها it's very easy to switch from one platform to another. صح؟ So that means the buyer power is very high. It's very strong. Okay? Now, threats of new entrants. How much threat are you? How threatened are you for other companies to compete with you in the market? If we look at Netflix again, it's very high. Yes, we do. Khalid Mossad was asking, how frequently do we need to revisit the organizational strategy and change it? Well, you don't need to change it, but you need to revise it at least once every quarter, and we do that. Okay? And I'll give you a small example. For example, المشكلة بتاعت the currency, the issue بتاع currency. So the currency was rising, and then all of a sudden stopped, and now it's going down. That means, okay, that means we could change our strategy at this point, right? We don't have to assess everything according to high currency levels. Okay, so and then you have the threat of entry. Is it expensive? Let's say, for example, I'm a real estate company. Is it expensive for people to enter the market? Yes, it is. Is it hard to build a name? Yes, it is. So the entry is not that easy. It's pretty difficult to enter the market. I'm talking about a certain level of real estate. طبعا في a lot of people entering real estate. The قصة تانية. Okay. Threat of substitution. أنت دلوقتي عندك is there a risk for another product substituting yours? لا طبعا. أنت في مصر أصلا عندك rise of population every year مش عارف كام مليون. فكده كده people need real estate. في ناس بتتجوز، ناس بتكون نفسها. And this is the culture بتاع مصر. We have to own property. So there's no risk of substitution. كده كده people are always going to buy property from you. What about competition? Competition is fierce. Okay. يعني competition انت عندك a lot of competitors في the market. Even if you're big, even if it's hard to enter the market, but your main competitors now, it's pretty harsh, especially when it comes to real estate. Okay. Let's just break it down. This is the only one I'm going to give like a little bit of a deeper example. Okay. And I'm going to look at it as a real estate in Egypt perspective. Okay. So when I talk about entry barriers, there's high capital costs. It's difficult to find land. You need to have a good brand reputation. It's not easy for people to trust you if you're new. Okay, so I would say it's moderate. Okay, bargaining power of suppliers pretty low. Like I said, construction companies they're fighting over us. كل عاوز يجي يبني لك. الbuyer power is moderate to high. يعني البايرز دلوقتي يعني they have more options. الموضوع حلوة وكده. بس at the same time هم كده محتاجين property. And it's not easy to find a developer with a good reputation. So, yani, their buyer power is, I would say, moderate to high. Threat of substitution, I don't see it a threat because the population increase drives demand for developments in Egypt. You're always going to have a population increase in Egypt, inshallah, yani. And it's always driving demand. Because like I said, that's the culture. A level of rivalry, I'm just going to focus on this one here. The international developers entering Egypt add further pressure. في دلوقتي a lot of international developers in I don't want to say names any, but in other countries, and they're very powerful developers, and they're coming here and they're putting a lot of pressure on local developers. تمام? So those two things I highlighted for a reason because I want to use it in the next slide. Population increase that drives demand for development, and increase in development entering international developers entering Egypt. Okay. Sorry. What's the purpose of doing an external analysis? We need to define two things. Okay, we need to define what are our opportunities, and we need to define the threats. That's things that we don't have control of externally, but we can take advantage of, or we have to be careful for. Okay. For example, like I told you, like I had the two examples though, just to clarify. Population increase drives demand for developments. That's something I can't control. I can't control the population in Egypt, right? But this is an opportunity for me. So I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. So I'm going to keep developing. I'm going to keep providing homes, residents, businesses. Okay. On the other hand, the threat, you have international developers entering Egypt, adding further pressure. So this is an external factor I have no control of. I cannot stop them from coming in, right? But this is something I need to consider in my strategy moving on forward, okay? So now we talked about the external analysis. Second thing we have to do is check the gear that we have, like the guy climbing the mountain, right? We're gonna do an internal analysis. And this is pretty much the best tool I like using is VRIO tool, okay? What you do is you list the resources that you have or need in some cases, okay? And then you assess each resource. And I'm going to tell you why in the next slides, why you need this. For example, we're a real estate company. We're established in the local market. Is this a valuable resource? Yes, طبعا. To be established, that's very valuable. Is it rare? No, it's not. There are other companies that are pretty established from us. Is it easy to imitate? Yeah, people can imitate you. It's not that difficult. What about the competitive implication? In this case, it's a temporary advantage. Yes, you have an advantage here, but it's temporary. خد بالك, because it's not going to be an advantage forever. What about land banks in prime location? انت real estate developer وعندك lands and beautiful locations. Is that valuable? Yes, that's extremely valuable because the first thing people want to buy is location. Like أنا عاوز تجمع، أنا عاوز مش عارف إيه. Okay. Is it rare? Yes, it is, because مش كل real estate developers عندهم decent land banks. Can it be imitated? No, it's not easily imitated, because again, to find prime location land banks is very difficult. Is it supported by your organization? Yes, it is, because we have it and we're very strong in this point. So this is a sustainable advantage. This is an advantage that we have and we can sustain. Okay. Look at the third point, differentiation against international competitors. Okay. What do we offer that the international competitors don't offer? Okay. By the way, this is a fake real estate company. I'm not comparing it to any brand or anything like that. So is this a valuable resource? Yes, extremely valuable. Is it rare? No. Is it imitatable? Yes, people can imitate you. Does it support by the organization? In this case, in this company, XYZ? No, it's not supported by this organization. We have difficulty competing with international, for example. Okay, so this is a competitive disadvantage for us. Okay, so now we assessed our external analysis, we assessed our internal analysis. We want to know what can come out from this internal analysis. You identify 2 points, your strength and your weaknesses. Like I said, I'm being very, very, simple. I just want the holistic thing to be clear for everybody. Okay. So what is the output of internal analysis? 2 things, weaknesses and strength. These are 2 things that's within the control of your organization or your business. I have control of these 2 things. I can fix them, or I can take advantage of it. Okay. In this case, for example, in this real estate company XYZ, our strength is we have a land bank in prime locations. That's really good. What is our weaknesses? Differentiation against international competitors. For example, okay, when we combine everything together, we form the SWOT analysis. So this is basically how a SWOT analysis is formed. I know a lot of people hear about SWOT. You're like, أنا أعمل لك SWOT, أجيب لك SWOT, but there's no background data supporting the SWOT. The only way to do a SWOT analysis is you have to first do the external and the internal analysis and list everything. So basically a SWOT analysis is a summary of the external and internal analysis. Okay. Very nice. So now we did our analysis. Now we need to know our strategic direction. Okay, so now we know all this information. We know that we have international competitors coming in. We know that the population is increasing, so that's good. We take advantage of that. What are we going to do about it? This is where to decide on your strategic direction, we use this tool called Ansof's matrix. Okay. What is Ansof's matrix? You focus on two elements: the market and your product. So it's either you're going to develop the market that you already exist in, cover market share, or you're going to penetrate a new market. You're going to go somewhere else. بدل ما شغال في مصر هروح يونان، هروح السعودية، هروح الإمارات. That's new market. Okay. What are the other options that you have? Is product development strategy. So instead of going to another market, you know what? I'm just going to improve the strategy. I'm just going to improve my product. How about work harder, increase competition, so on. But based on our SWOT analysis that we did, what would be the best strategic direction for it? Obviously, we're going to do product development. Okay, so that's one direction. And we're going to do market development. So we're not going to penetrate a new market. هنكبر الماركت بتاعنا and focus on developing our product عشان نقدر ننافس with anybody. Okay, so this is what we're going to focus on is called diversification strategy. We're going to diversify our strategy. We're not going to go in one direction. and it's pretty risky. The more diversified your strategy is, the more risks you're taking. So if you're going to a new market, completely new market, you have no experience with before, with a completely new product, that's extremely risky. But if you're going with your product to a new market, the risk is less. Or if you're staying in your market and introducing new products, also the risk is less. Okay, it's clear. Okay, so based on this, we decided on our strategic direction. Okay, so let's decide on the goals. So the first goal will be achieve local sustainable business growth. Okay, because like I said, we're going to take advantage of the growing population. So growing in this market is pretty sustainable. So let's achieve sustainable growth in this market. مش هنسيبه. At the same time, offer differentiation against international competitors. So these competitors are coming in from all around the world with new ideas, new this and that. You know what? I'm going to look at it, look into it, and I'm going to offer something you don't have. So that's going to be my strategy. Okay. What are you going to do with this strategy? Usually when we talk about strategy, you kind of stop to this level. But then again, if you stop here, your strategy is just as useless as the paper that's going to be printed on. Okay. Now we need to transform this into action. And that's where we develop SMART goals. The whole purpose of SMART goals is to make your strategy actionable. Okay. For example, we're going to develop and launch 3 unique features per flagship project by Q4 2025 that is not currently offered by international competitors in Egypt. خلاص كده عملنا listed of products and services that's not offered by international competitors. Okay, we're gonna implement it. طيب, that sounds good, but if you cannot be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, then your objective is useless. Okay, so how is this specific? It's specific because we specified that we're gonna offer unique features and services. Hey, home about XYZ, but I'm not gonna get into details. Is it measurable? Yes, we're gonna develop three of these services or products per flagship project. Let's say you have 6 projects, each one's gonna have 3. Okay, is it achievable? Yes, within the company's capabilities, we have the capacity to do it. Is it relevant? Yes, it supports the differentiation from international competitors, and it's relevant to the scope of our work. Type, is it time bound? Yes, الكلام ده يخلص by the end of 2025. You don't leave it open. You really have to specify when it's going to end. Who should be involved in this process from the company? Decide the strategy. It should be led by somebody. For example, a strategic strategy director, business transformation, so on. Should be led by them, but the whole executive team needs to be involved. And it needs to be strongly supported by the CEO. If your strategy is not strongly supported by CEO, good luck. Okay? So what do we do? How are we going to measure this SMART objective? How are we going to measure if we're moving in the right direction or not? KPIs. Now, a lot of people confuse KPIs with personal KPIs. They're like, HR or KPIs or appraisals or bonuses. This is not the KPIs I'm talking about. Okay? I'm talking about the KPIs to measure the performance of your organization. Okay? For example, the efficiency of your organization, the effectiveness of your processes. These are the KPIs I'm looking at. I'm not personal KPIs, your behavior, that doesn't concern me. Okay? Now, once you're done, you set your objectives. You need to cascade it through the whole organization. Everybody in the organization needs to have the same vision and needs to understand the strategy and needs to develop objectives to contribute to the main objective of the organization. Okay. For example, here you have your business strategy, and you set your objectives. طبعا في strategy formulation والكلام ده, I skip all that. You set your objectives, and from your objectives you have two things. You have KPIs and you have an action plan. How are you going to meet these objectives? And then you have a logistics department. They're going to develop their strategy, and then they're going to develop contributing objectives, which needs to be linked with the organizational objectives. So that means everybody's moving in the same direction. You know what I mean? I'm sure a lot of people working in organizations, they see that this department is working, everybody's working in silos. This department is moving in a different direction. This department is great. Their strategy is awesome, but it has nothing to do with the organization's strategy. So all this needs to be linked together. Okay? All right, so we go back to our purple guy here. So after we formulated our strategy, so his mission is to create communities, assuming he's a real estate guy, okay? He wants to create communities, okay? His vision, he wants to be the top developer. If you want to formulate vision, mission, there's a lot of work behind it, and it should sound much better than this, but I'm being very simple, okay? So what did he do? He did the external analysis. He found that he found opportunities and he found threats, okay? Right after that, he did the internal analysis. He identified his weaknesses and identified his strengths. And then he set his goals: sustainable growth, offer differentiation against international competitors. Okay? And then he broke them down into objectives: increase sale revenue, maintain customer satisfaction, develop three unique features, and so on. He wants to know if he's moving in the right track. So every month or every quarter, he's going to measure the KPIs he set for himself. Not as an individual, the KPIs he set himself for the organization. The CEO then, okay? He's concerned more about the organization. And he knows exactly where he's going. To be the top developer, he can see it. I could see myself within the next couple years or whatever, I'm going to be the top developer. Or maybe it's not reachable, but we're going to strive until we get there. Okay? Some visions are not reachable. They're not time bound. What are my values? I have to be transparent and I have to have integrity. These two things I cannot cross. So if it's going to slow me down, so be it. Okay? Okay, last part, I just want to clarify here. It's very, very critical for a strategy to succeed in an organization is to move these three elements together. And I'm going to explain to you why. First, your strategy formulation needs to be extremely clear. Don't underestimate your vision, mission, values, goals, objectives. Do not underestimate these things. They have a huge impact on employees. They have a huge impact on people's perception or other people's customer perception. Okay. And it also impacts how everybody in the organization is working. For example, we're the highest quality and so on. So everybody working in the organization is going to be thinking, okay, I'm going to submit this PDF, but is it really the highest quality or not? Because you know what? That's our vision, and we want to be the highest quality. You know what I mean? Make it real. Make it really reflect what's happening in your organization, or not what's currently happened or what you aspire to happen. Okay? Performance management is extremely important, and it's overlooked. It's where you set all the KPIs in the organization. There's different levels of KPIs. There's another webinar we have to cover performance management. So you have KPIs all the way at the top level. It's cascaded in the balanced scorecard. It's cascaded down to every executive manager's balanced scorecard, and then all the KPIs within the functions are accumulated in the balanced scorecard, and you can see exactly what's happening in your organization sitting in your living room. Okay, that's full control. You have to see everything that's happening, and we don't have to wait when disaster strikes. No. Before disaster strikes, you can see it coming. You know, there's going to be signs. When you look at your KPIs, there's going to be signs there's something coming. Okay? And that's how you achieve sustainable growth. business transformation. Now, earlier we talked about the internal analysis, we talked about our strengths, we talked about our weaknesses, and so on. Okay, our weaknesses, is it something that we need to cure or fix before we start moving towards our vision? That's business transformation. Okay, you look into your organization, systems, the people, the training, everything in your organization, you analyze it, create a gap analysis, and start fixing it point by point. So if you do not move all three to, if you only build this, if you only formulate the strategy, it's going to be printed out, put into your CEO's desk, and forgotten. Okay, you have to measure. Can we use balanced scorecard in formulating the strategy? Well, you don't use the balanced scorecard in formulating the strategy. You use it to cascade the strategy. So now you formulated your strategy, you set your objectives, you break down, you generate KPIs from these objectives, and you put one in every perspective: the financial, the customer, internal process, and people capacity. So that's how you cascade your well, balanced scorecard is to cascade your strategy and also performance monitor monitor the performance of your organization. And it's usually at a higher level. Like, for example, most organizations where I supported, the CEO had a balanced scorecard, every executive department had a balanced scorecard, and under that is all KPIs reporting to the balanced scorecards. Okay. So many times I work with companies, organizations, they want to do the strategy, they want to do the performance management, but they overlook the business transformation, okay, which is a big problem. And when I talk about business transformation, and then later on it starts to evolve into digital transformation. So if you overlook your business transformation, that means you're not making your business aligned with, or providing the capabilities to your business to be aligned with the goals and objectives that you're trying to meet. So what I'm trying to say is, you have to work all three together. Okay? And that's it. So any questions? I'm here.
يعني thank you for sharing this these insights. We يعني in simple words you could explain different terminologies و خلينا نقول مصطلحات كبيره كنا بنبقى شايفينها، كلمه استراتيجيه، strategic planning and so on. Thank you for your simple explanation. طبعا اي حد دلوقتي يا جماعه عنده اي سؤال please write it in the chat. Mr. Muhammad will give us the answer. يعني خلينا برضو لغايه ما الشباب يبداوا يحطوا الاسئله. النهارده لو احنا مثلا بنسال who should design the strategy, who should formulate the strategy, هل هي responsibility ال CEO, ال board of directors, this responsibility for whom?
It depends how big your organization is, right? If you're a small organization, then obviously it's going to be the CEO. He's going to formulate the strategy, do his analysis, and so on. If you're a bigger organization, it's critical to have a strategic manager in-house. Right? Consultant is good, but you need somebody to be able to receive whatever the consultant is going to give you. You know what I mean? So you don't have a consultant come and share these beautiful PowerPoints and so on, but then we can't use them. We don't know what to do with them. You need somebody in-house to take this and implement it in your organization. Okay?
Yes.
And it's very, very important to understand that strategy doesn't come, it doesn't work if you're behind doors and surprise everybody, your strategy is ready. That doesn't work. You need to keep the executive management, the executive team aligned with your strategy constantly. Like I'm telling you, we have meetings almost every month. I have meetings every month with the executive directors. And I tell them, this is what I'm doing, and this is what we're going to do. This is our next steps. Communication is super important as a strategic manager. You need to be able to communicate because you touch everybody's work. and it makes people uncomfortable. Like, why are you looking into my work? Why are you looking into my processes? Why you know what I mean? So you have to understand, you have to have people skills, make people comfortable, and once they are, everybody's aligned, everybody's on board. So it's a group thing led by either CEO or a strategic director.
Exactly. Yes. Right. We are waiting for your questions. So
I have a question here. In your opinion, how relevant is it, or how important is employees' impact to the company's strategy, and which level it would not be a big deal to have good candidates? Honestly, it's at every level. It's very, like, I'll give you an example. I'm gonna say the example, but not exactly what the wording was. It's what I can recall. But they asked a janitor in NASA, out of شركة NASA بتاع الفضاء في أمريكا. They asked it, he was wiping the floor, and then somebody asked him, he's like, what are you doing? Why are you wiping the floor? He's like, because I want to get to because we're going to get to the moon. So everybody in the organization is important, and everybody in the organization has to have a common vision. You know what I mean? So that does answer your question.
By the way, the idea of generating SWOT analysis or doing SWOT analysis ممكن جدا للسوات اي حد يعمله، بس بنبص على الكواليتي اوف الاناليسيز. ات ديبيندز. يعني النهارده لما بنيجي حد يقول انا هدرس الاوبورتيونيتيز اللي موجوده في الماركت واشوف الثريتس. طيب بيزد اون وات؟ في اي ماركت ريسيرش اتعمل؟ هل في ستاديز؟ ايه الفاكتس اللي بيزد عليها انت شايف ان دي ثريتس او اوبورتيونيتيز؟ فمهم جدا ان احنا مش بس نبقى باصين ان السوات انا ممكن ادخل اسيرش على الانترنت اشوف الاندستري الخاصه مثلا بالريل استيت، ايه الثريتس اللي موجوده، وهي دي اللي تبقى اقدر ان انا احطها في ريبورت وبريزنت تو ذا مانجمنت واقول لهم والله انا شايف ان دي الاكسترنال فاكتورز كريسك او كاوبورتيونيتيز موجود. ف بتحتاج مجهود، بتحتاج شغل كتير، بتحتاج كولابوريشن من ديفرنت اكسبرت.
بالظبط. احنا عندنا يعني for example one of the companies I support, the SWOT analysis costs about 600,000 pounds, and it's not cheap to build. And we have 2 different consultants doing analysis, external analysis, industry analysis, and so on. This data is super important. You cannot build a SWOT analysis unless you really have the right information. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's why, because I understand that I've seen it a lot where a lot of people they undermine SWOT analysis شويه. لك يخش مكتبه يطلع لك بسوات بعد نص ساعه حاجه كده، فاهم؟ قصدك اوكي ده اكيد ده مش SWOT analysis. انت كده بتهزر معايا.
وللاسف بنشوفه كتير للاسف.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. We have a question from Iman. What is the easiest way to include managers in the vision?
First of all, you have to have workshops. So, for example, I do workshop with executive directors, and then another workshop with the management level, and then there's a company-wide workshop. Everybody needs to understand what this strategy, what they're doing, and so on. Second thing I like doing, صراحة, in any company I work with, is I ask, where's your intranet? Intranet is really good for internal communication, right? So I like to use the internet to communicate the strategy, at every level of the organization. You know what I mean? How can I figure out that the agreed strategy is not drive us to the company objectives? How do you figure it out? Well, how do I figure out that the agreed strategy is not drive us to the company objectives? Oh, so how do you mean, like, how do you figure out that you're deviating from the objectives? With your KPIs. That's why I'm telling you, it's 3 factors that have to work together. You formulate the strategy, and then you have to work on the performance management system, because you need to monitor if your strategy is going in the right direction or not. Don't wait until the end of the year and say, oh guys, it was a big fail, I don't know how we got here. No, I'm measuring every month my KPIs. I can tell that we're not going in the right direction. I can tell that customer satisfaction is going down. It's not going up. So you have to have a robust performance management system in your organization.
Great.
Any other questions?
I think yes. In Q&A, we have a question. What is the difference between strategy and business model? ده سؤال عميق جدا.
ده سؤال ده عاوز إجابة طويلة شوية. I'm going to try to summarize as much as I can.
Yes, please.
Strategy, after you formulate your strategy and you formulate the strategic direction, you need to modify your business model accordingly. هديك مثل صغير. انت دلوقتي my strategy انت شركة بتبعت جوابات. I'm giving a really simple example, okay? You're a company that sends out mail to its clients. My strategy is to attract younger market segment. طب ما younger market segment they're not going to deal with جوابات. They need WhatsApp, they need to, and so on. So you need to modify your business model, for example, channels of communication, right? That you're going to be using WhatsApp instead of mail. So if the business model اتغير. زي Netflix changed their business model was to send out the DVDs in the mail. That's how Netflix started. And then their strategy was, no, we want to do digital transformation. We want to make it very convenient for the client. مش عاوز client ينزل من البيت ويبعت جوابات والكلام ده. So how are we going to do it? We're going to do it by streaming. So they changed their business model from sending out DVDs in the mail to streaming, online streaming. So once you're done formulating your strategy, you're going to need to modify your business model accordingly.
So this is a subsequent step. After setting the strategy or design the strategy, we have to build the business model.
Yes, you need the business model that could achieve your strategy. يعني انت راجل كنت شغال اونلاين خالص. دلوقتي انت بتاعك عاوز اونلاين، فانت على الاستراتيجي بتاعك انا هخش اونلاين. طب ما البيزنس موديل بتاعك ده لازم يتغير. انت كنت بتبعت جوابات، دلوقتي لا انا communicate بواتساب, like emails and so on. So your business model completely.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're linked together, but I heard that culture eats strategy at breakfast. أكيد. ده مش breakfast ده هيتصبر بيه. Listen, if you're an organization where your CEO does not see the importance of strategy, okay, عارف انت CEO اللي يقول لك انا كل هنا مش محتاج انا strategy كله، فاهم؟
طبعا.
بس مش شايف الاهميه بتاعت formulation strategy والكلام ده كله. عندك resistance or legendary employees ما لهمش في تغيير، مش عاوز يغير، مش عاوز يعمل حاجه. Good luck implementing strategy. خلاص, it's gonna die for sure. How do you know if the fault is not the strategy or the implementation? But you measure the outcome. خلاص. يعني أنا دلوقتي I put my goal is I want to increase my market segment by 50%. حطيت objectives. I'm gonna market it. I'm gonna do a little bit of marketing there. I'm gonna do a little bit مش عارف إيه there. Okay, and the results are all great. بس الاوتكم ما زاديش الماركت شير، يبقى الاستراتيجي بتاعي فيها مشكله، مش الاوبجكتيفز. It's the strategy itself that has a problem because it's not the outcome that I want. Again, performance management system. In your experience, what are the first steps to bring strategy to life operationally? And how do you align resources like people, time, budget, etc. with strategic priorities? The first thing you need to do is stakeholder analysis. أول حاجة بص لازم تفهم الشخصيات اللي حواليك كويس جدا. And أنت عندك key players, CEO, CHRO, CFO. These are really, really important people. Okay, you have to analyze them very well and build your channel communication معهم. Okay, then training. That's how I start right away. I give everybody training about strategic management like we did now. Please more elaborate about time bound. Okay, I give you an objective. I give you an objective to increase customer satisfaction by 25%. Okay, it increased by 25%, but in how much time? You have to be time bound. I would like increase customer satisfaction in 6 months by 25%. Medish after 2 years, look, it's increased by 25%. No, it has to be time bound, because if you don't do that, then basically your employees, it's open for me. I can, okay, all right, I'll achieve 25%. Next 2-3 years, you know, I have all the time in the world. No, you don't. You're time bound. So when you set your objective, it has to be time bound. Got me?
Do we have more question?
Matt, it shouldn't be altered, but sometimes, you know, like force majeure, there's a crisis here or there. Obviously, you cannot meet it, so yeah, you could modify it, but usually we don't modify it. This you need to do it in this time.
Great. Right.
My pleasure.
We appreciate your questions. يعني your questions were to the point. ونشكر مستر محمد على الانسرز البسيطه. احنا دايما التوبيك الاستراتيجي والبزنس ترانسفورميشن من التوبكس العميقه شويه، ففكره ان احنا نلاقي حد يسمبليفاي يعني in nice words دي حاجه بتبقى نادره في الحقيقه. فاحنا بنشكرك جدا على الويبينار ده، وبنشكر كل الحضور. ولو في اي حد من حضراتكم شايف ان في اي توبيك من التوبكس اللي اتكلمنا فيها النهارده محتاجين تفاصيل اكتر، الابوريشن اكتر، يبقى في ويبينار خاص بنتكلم فيه سواء بقى عن البيزنس موديلنج وات ايفر ايه التوبيك، في الفري ان انتم تتواصلوا معانا وتبعتوا لنا التوبكس دي، واحنا في تيم بعد كده بيبدا ان هو يراجع الحاجات دي كلها، وبناء عليه بنبدا ان احنا نرتب ونحضر لويبينارز جايه ان شاء الله يعني بتفولفيل النيدز اللي موجوده في الماركت. بنشكر حضرتك مستر محمد، بنشكر كل الحضور، شكرا لوقتكم، وباذن الله نلتقي في ويبينارز جايه ان شاء الله على خير. شكرا لحضرتك.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the day, guys.
Thank you. I appreciate it. See you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.